Well, hello.
Hello.
We are back.
Yeah, and today we're going to talk about loving yourself.
Love yourself.
I mean, mentally. I mean, if you want to love yourself physically too, that's good too.
You know, that's healthy sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to start off with a question.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure I know how you're going to answer, but this is how we're going to start it, okay?
Okay.
All right.
I'm here
Do
for it.
you think that, you know how people say you have to love yourself before you can really love somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
Agree or disagree?
Oh, totally agree.
Okay, why?
You have to love because if you don't love yourself, how are you going to pour into somebody else if you're not pouring into yourself?
Okay, but have you in the past not loved yourself and then loved somebody else?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it is possible.
It's possible, but not successful.
Okay. That's not how I thought you were going to answer it, actually. I thought you were going to be like, no, I've loved other people and not loved myself.
Yeah. Well, maybe
Previous versions of-
5 years ago, maybe that would have been a different answer, but I've done a lot of work.
Yes, that's true. You have done a lot of work.
Yes.
The reason I asked this question is because I feel like based on how much you love yourself and how you treat yourself, that'll be what you attract to you. So like old versions of Holly did not love herself, and I attracted people that cheated on me or treated me poorly or just weren't the ideal human that I really actually wanted. And I couldn't understand why that wasn't the person I was attracting. And it was because I didn't love myself. If I don't think I'm worthy, why would you think I'm worthy? And I can see a direct correlation with the different relationships. Like as I started to grow as a human and love myself more, the people that I was with started to treat me better. And it was a healthier relationship.
I've totally seen that in my life as well.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
So you can love others, but it's, like you said, it doesn't end well, or they don't treat you as
It's
good.
just not successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're pouring into something else when your cup is drained.
Yeah. And you want to be pouring into each other's cups, ideally, in a winning situation with a relationship.
Yeah. Any relationship, too. Just like
Friendships.
friends. Yeah. Things like that.
Agreed.
So there's another aspect of loving yourself that came about, and you said friends, and I had a conversation with friends last night about how we are all going to this burlesque party. This is, if you know me, it's not my wheelhouse to, dress sexy and risque,
Va-va-boom.
So, like, I'm always, like, my first thought for a costume was Dr. Frank off of Rocky Horror Picture Show. That's what kind of burlesque I wanted to dress like. Just to be funny, because I'm like the funny costume girl. Anyways, I sucked it up and bought something girly, sexy, I guess you can call it. And I'm going to do that. And so I was talking to some friends who are also going to this party, who did the same thing. And we're like, yeah, this is not my wheelhouse, like jeans and t-shirt kind of girl, And so we were all talking about how uncomfortable we're going to be tonight when we go to this party. But then also the reason why we're doing it is because we have the little inkling that maybe we will look sexy and maybe it will be fun to dress up. And because we all, like, I think that's a self-love type thing when you do stuff like that. When you get out of your comfort zone and, wear something a little cute and
that makes me think,
show yourself off.
Yeah, and sometimes things like wearing risque outfits or putting on a lot of makeup and doing your hair can be a way to hide yourself from the world.
Perhaps.
But I think sometimes it can be a way to love yourself and to just feel good and to just feel like you're presenting this nice polished version of yourself. And
I just had a thought.
Okay, say it.
So the reason why it would be when you're covering up is because your intention for putting on the makeup is different than your intention when you're putting on the makeup to do it for self-love.
Yeah.
Your intention has to be
different.
different.
Yeah. Yeah. So if your intention is, I want to put this on because I don't love myself and it's helping me feel better, that's one way. And then the better way, I don't want to say better, but the
Healthier.
ideal way, the
I
way
would say
that
healthier
we should all
way.
strive for is like, I already love myself, but why don't I play a little and, you know, just have fun with my look and just see if I can just go into the world looking a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fun. And
Yeah.
that's loving yourself. It's not punishing yourself for who you are, which brings us to your daughter's quote, which I love, and I have to just say,
Okay.
I'm probably screwing it up a little bit, but she said something like, we were talking to our teenage daughters about what would you say about self-love, and Leanna's daughter said, listen, this is going to be your face for the rest of your life, so you might as well get used to it.
Yep. And both of us were just like,
yeah, this is your face and your body for the rest of your life. Now, I mean, it'll change, and you can like work out or like do things to alter it a little bit, but for the most part, this is you. This is who you are.
Yeah.
And you can either spend your whole life punishing yourself for the body God chose to put you in, or you can embrace what your reality is and love that. Like, love the uniqueness that is you.
So you had mentioned something, because we've both had ups and downs with like weight loss and working out and like that journey.
As all women,
as all women, even men.
And men, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to disclude you, men. You too. We love you too.
We love you too. You had said something about 4 years ago that still resonates with me.
You know, I just want to say that you blow my mind sometimes with this, like your memory. You're like, it was a sunny day in September in 2018, and we were sitting on your couch drinking coffee, and you said to me,
you know,
and I'm like, I did?
This thing is a weird thing, man. Like, this thing is it's interesting up
I love
in there.
it. I love it. But what did I say? Tell me.
So you had just moved in where you're at now. You had just moved in where you're at now, and your weight started your weight started being a healthy maintenance weight for you. Like, not saying your weight was unhealthy, but just saying like
where I wanted to be.
Yeah, yes. Thank you for putting the words out there. And you're like, I'm not really trying as much as I used to, and you're like, I kind of like not getting up at 3:30 in the morning to work out anymore, and you're like, I just kind of do it when I want to. And I think it's because at that point in your life, what I'm correlating, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but in that point in your life, you were actually loving you and taking time for you. And that's when, you know, it's funny that it like, because that's where I'm at like now, is I'm at a weight I want to be. I feel really strong. I take care of myself, and I just feel comfortable where I'm at.
Yeah. So. At that point in my life, I had just gotten a divorce, and I was alone with myself, and I was just, you know, I was just really loving myself. And I'm happy that I've carried that into my current relationship, because sometimes you slip back into old patterns, but I didn't. And my journey has continued to evolve. But,
absolutely. But
I had hit a turning point there where I just really was like, you know what? Enough of this not loving myself, punishing myself, like working out to punish myself because I ate something bad, or like the scale didn't move, so fuck it, I'm gonna eat a whole pie, or, you know, I wasn't perfect. I slipped up and ate something I quote unquote shouldn't have, and so then I'd punish myself and just be so hard on myself. And I really moved into a space where I was like, you know what? I'm human. It's okay if I'm not perfect. And I had to like zoom out instead of like being like a teacher critical. That's grading my score. I had to be like, you know what am I doing overall? Who am I overall? And I stopped weighing myself because I had a really unhealthy relationship with the scale. And I just started feeling what it was like to be in my body and just accepting myself for who I was.
Yeah. I hit that pretty recently, actually. Because, well, it's been a work in progress. Okay, we're all work in progress, but it's
always.
So I had some medical issues in 2019, and then in
October of 2019. No, just kidding.
Was it? Oh yeah, I know. I think it actually was. No, I'm just kidding. So I had some medical issues in 2019. You've heard me mention 2019 if you I have listened to this podcast before. I don't know what it was about that year, but there was a lot of learning. And so I also had medical issues, which actually, now that I think about it, kind of mind blown that was the worst, unhealthiest time of my life thus in the past 15
Mentally
years.
and physically?
Yeah. So I bet you my mental fucked up my physical.
Oh,
That's
probably.
what it was. Yeah. So we'll get into that in a whole nother episode because we can talk about that for
Oh,
days.
yeah, we'll be here. How much time do you have?
Yeah. So, anyways, had medical issues 2020, scheduled to have surgery in April of 2020. I don't know if you guys remember what happened in March 2020, but couldn't get the surgery for a year and a half. So I had to really start taking care of myself in 2020 and had a lot of time to do it. So had the surgery in 2021, and that's when I finally felt normal again and started taking care of myself and actually loving myself after that, because that's when I started feeling comfortable in my skin is what I was getting to. That's when I really was like, okay, you know what, I'm never gonna be skinny, and I'm okay with that, you know, or skinny, I should call it, right?
Quote unquote.
Right. I'm never gonna do that. So I just started loving my skin that I'm in, and now I've been the same weight for the last 3 years, and I absolutely love it. Like,
yeah. And you know what? I think that is common. Like, God bless you if you have loved yourself forever. Like, fuck yeah. But I feel like most women, they go through this journey, no matter how beautiful they are, no matter how perfect they are, where, you know, they're competing with other women. They don't love themselves. They're comparing themselves to everyone else. They feel like they don't measure up. They're focusing in on all these things they don't like about themselves.
so hyper-focused and so hypercritical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get to this point, probably in your 30s, where you're just like, oh, you know, I've been fighting against this whole time, and actually
I don't even have to.
Yeah. It's like suddenly something clicks in your brain and it starts to make sense.
Yeah. What do you think correlates to that, though?
I think it's just maturity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and if you look at previous generations, like my mom's generation, it's like they'd never learned that. And then our generation, we're learning it like in our 30s. And I feel like our kids are already learning it.
I know. Well, the quote that my daughter said,
Yeah.
like, there you go.
My daughter loves herself more than any girl I've ever met in my life.
Yeah. Yes.
Not in like a conceited way, but like
No.
she's just so comfortable with who she is.
She is so confident in her person.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So I think like it's just like it's shifting. We're learning and growing, and by doing that our kids are, which is really awesome.
Do you think, because we've had such a big behavioral health push in the last 10 or 15 years, I would say, do you think that the knowledge of accepting the imperfection is helping create this like open communication about loving yourself?
My crunchy granola is about to come out. Okay.
Let's let it out.
I think it sounds crazy to me already. I think the overall consciousness of the planet is helping. Like I hate saying this, people are waking up, and what I mean by that is not like, oh my God, it's like, oh, waking up. Like, people are
I get you.
realizing
I get you.
that like you are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are floating through your head, and that's not actually who you are.
Mhm.
And you can choose to look at those. And there's like a consciousness beyond just being a slave to things that are happening to you
Mhm.
and thoughts that are in your head. And instead you can kind of like step back and look at that and choose how to navigate it.
Mhm.
So I think the world is becoming more conscious
Mhm.
in that way. And that is helping us to step back and be like, oh, I am not like, I am this body, but I am more than this body.
Yeah, I'm not a product of my environment. I can choose to change that.
Yeah. And I can choose how I love myself, how I feel
Mhm.
about myself. Just like you can choose to stay in a healthy relationship or an unhealthy relationship. You know, like you have these things are all choices. And I think that people are starting to realize that. And they're once they realize it, they're like, okay, so if I can do this, how do I do this?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. You listen to our podcast.
Yes. Yes. Step 1, listen to Growing Up for Adults.
Oh no, I just had to put a thing out there. But yes, I totally feel that. I feel like, but do you think technology helps that? Getting things out like we are now, like getting information out so easily and it's
Absolutely.
so readily available now.
Well, and nowadays too, you can see like you're not alone.
Yeah.
And you can see like what other people have done. Like, oh, they did that and that helped them. Let me try that. That's how
Right.
I got into half the things that I do, is by
Right.
seeing that other people did it. I
Right.
didn't miraculously know these things.
Right. Yeah. And I think it helps our teenagers now. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not promoting. I have a very healthy relationship with technology, I would say, and I try to give that and pass that on to my daughter. But I also think that helps her use technology in appropriate ways. And so I think that she also seeks out information that she would like to learn about,
Mhm.
and it's readily available. So
Yeah.
that's probably why our kids are
Yeah.
so woke.
Yeah, they're so woke, bro. No cap. Well, I feel so cool saying that.
I know.
I don't actually. I do not.
I just say those words to like pick up my daughter.
Yeah. My daughter doesn't say no cap, actually.
I don't know if Ella said that.
I've heard my
she
son.
said it sarcastically. How about that?
I've heard my son say it. He used to say it. Now he doesn't say it, but he used to say it. I think it became not cool very quickly.
So, tell me a little bit about the journey. I mean, you kind of touched on like when you were divorced and
Mhm.
you know growing through that, but like the overall journey of your self-love journey.
Okay.
I want to hear, and I want the listeners to hear because I've seen most of it, and I appreciate your story.
I'm going to try to give you guys the Cliff Notes version because I could like talk forever.
I know.
But I was always a chunky kid. I did not have a healthy relationship with myself. I was surrounded by beautiful women. My mom was very beautiful. All of my aunts, all my cousins, very beautiful, very skinny, without seemingly having to try.
Mhm.
I remember one time my mom telling me, Holly, hold your stomach in when you stand. And not to like be a jerk, like she wasn't judging me, but like this is a trick that I use. I
Mhm.
hold my stomach in when I stand. And you know, there were a lot of factors that played into my body image. I was sexually abused when I was young. You know, I was surrounded by all these beautiful women. My mom sometimes used sugar and treats as like a way to love us.
Mm.
And so that became like a coping mechanism to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an unhealthy relationship with food and with myself. I did
Mhm.
not know how to love myself. I was so busy trying to survive my life that I didn't want to be in my skin. I wanted to disassociate and escape as often as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that led to me treating my body poorly, not feeling beautiful. The father of my kids actually was one of my first real boyfriends, and the first person that actually made me feel beautiful. And that was or like I was worth something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the beginning of when I started to actually think, well, maybe I am worth something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I am kind of pretty. I still was awful to myself, so mean to myself.
Mm.
And, you know, over the years I have tried to learn, you know, I didn't learn to work out until I got pregnant. And then I was like, oh my God, now I have to work out. Otherwise I'm going to be like a sumo wrestler. So I started working out when I found out I was pregnant with my first child. And then I started eating salads every day for lunch and really, really, really tried to focus on my eating for the first time in my life. I weighed less when I had him than I did when I got pregnant.
Really?
I gained 19 pounds the whole time I was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And when I gave birth, I was like 125 pounds. And everybody's like, wow, you bounced back so fast. And I'm like, yeah, wow, I did.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to having my daughter, I already had stretch marks, which was the whole reason I was trying not to eat bad. So I was like, well, fuck it. I'm just going to eat cookies and cake and ice cream and watch the Gilmore Girls. So I didn't try really with my second one. I gained a bunch of weight, which I had to lose afterwards. I've had a total of 3 kids. Each time has been a journey. And over the years, I've slowly implemented things like working out more, different workouts, running, weights, changing my food, falling off the wagon, getting back on the wagon, being very strict.
Wow, you're telling my story, and I'm sure other people's
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, like very strict. I've tried every single diet known to man. like keto, all of them, low carb. I've tried all the things. I did HCG where you take shots and you have to have like a super restrictive diet, which works. But if you don't do the follow up the right way, you gain it all back and then some, which is what happened to me in most of these diet journeys.
Yeah.
I would lose a bunch of weight, gain it all back plus some. And then it'd be like this yo-yo thing over and over and over again. And only recently in the last year do I feel like I've gotten to a place where it's like permanent change. Where I'm not weighing myself anymore. I'm judging myself based on how I fit in my clothes.
Or feel in your clothes.
Yeah. And not judging, but just like, oh, yep, feel pretty good. And I am eating clean, which means no processed food, no junk, no sugar. If I want something sweet, I make something that has like honey in it or dates.
So what I'm hearing now, this is what I'm hearing. I'm sorry to pause you, but I'm hearing that your reasoning for doing the dieting in the past is different from your reasoning doing it now.
Yeah, because I wanted to conform and to fit into this box that society told me this is what beauty is, that my family modeled for me. This is what beauty is. And I was fighting myself the whole way. Instead now I'm like, you know what? I am who I am. And I'm going to just treat myself as kindly as I can because I actually love myself. And I want to give myself good food that feels good. Because when I feel good, I act better and I like myself better.
Yes.
And I feel like I look better. And all of those things are really good. I'm a better human.
Yeah. Gosh, my journey was eerily similar with the thought process. So let's just say I did the same thing as Holly, but my body image issues started when I was way younger. And it was, my dad would always kind of like pick on my mom about her weight and her weight journey and things like that. And so that even though it wasn't directly to me, it's still,
you were seeing it
I
modeled.
was seeing and I was hearing it. And so that's where, I started to kind of question, as well as just being an adolescent in general. I think all adolescents have some sort of body issue or body stuff going on. I just think it's part of that age. And so, so with that, plus hearing that, created my own body issues. And then I started using and abusing substances at a young age, and so that also altered my body. And I was using things that make you lose weight. So we'll just say that. I'm not gonna get into it, but my substance of choice was something that made me rapidly lose weight. And and then I felt confident because I was thin and I had finally gotten, like, I wasn't that, like, the chunky girl anymore, the thick girl anymore. And so that was just a rapid cycle of substance abuse and weight loss and all that. Like, so had to work on that too. And then, I got older, I had a child. So like you said, when you have a child, your body changes. And so I had to work through that. And then after that, it was the yo-yos, just like you did, same thought process, just yo-yos and different diets and things like that. And then it moved on to having my health issues, and then,
getting to this place you are now where you feel good.
Yeah. So that was kind of the same journey. I'm sure if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, that's me, please, like, share that with us, because we share our journeys so it can resonate with somebody, and then we obviously share it because we want to hear yours too. So if you have a journey like this, please share it.
Yeah. One other thing I wanted to touch on too, I had, and tell me if this was your case too, if I'm being totally honest, and I'm a little uncomfortable telling you this, okay? I had a hard time being around pretty women, or like being friends with pretty women, because I felt so uncomfortable in my own skin that I felt like it was like torture to be around other beautiful women.
I still get that way, if I'm being honest.
And judgmental, like looking for something in them that was wrong so that I could feel better about myself.
So I don't do that anymore, but I have done that. But
Yeah, past.
But currently, I'll get honest with everybody. Currently, I still have like the body image issues. I'm a lot better than I was, but now that you call that out, I still do that with other pretty women around me.
Well,
and I know I'm beautiful, and I know that, and I don't beat myself down, and I don't compare myself, but there's just that split second thought of like, oh my gosh, they're so pretty. And then I go, I am too. And that's how it goes.
And you know what? That's the practice.
Yes.
And the more you do that, the better you get at it. So like before, I was real bad at all of the above, like judging and not being comfortable around these other beautiful women, feeling really jealous. And now because I feel good in my own skin and I feel like, you know what, I'm beautiful too. Like I have a couple knockout friends, like hot. They're hot. Okay. You know who I'm talking about. If it's you, you know. Like, and now I can be like, I can stand next to them and not feel like nobody sees me. And now I don't feel like I'm in competition with them. And I feel like there's enough room for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all different and we all have our unique attributes and things that make us us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like my mom used to always say there's always going to be somebody prettier than you. There's always going to be somebody smarter than you. There's always going to be somebody better at whatever it is you're doing, which is really sound advice. And like I think about that a lot. There's always going to be somebody prettier than you. There's always going to be somebody, if you're a writer, that's a better writer. If you're a singer, there's a better singer. If you're a dancer, there's a better dancer. It's not a competition. We are all expressing our own version of our own art.
Mm-hmm.
And each one is beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say that there is always something beautiful about a person.
Mm-hmm.
Always. There's always one good thing. So that was another mind shift that I had to do is, you know, instead of picking, like you said, picking and judging,
Mm-hmm.
it was shifting to find something that's beautiful instead of find something that's negative.
Mm-hmm. You know what's interesting too? Like as I've gotten good at this whole loving myself thing, I have felt like a hot girl once in a while. And in flipping that role around and actually feeling that way on the inside, I have noticed what it feels like to be those hot girls. Like, these other girls don't want to be my friend. Or, you know, like, they're judging me. Like, you can sense it immediately. Like, these people are judging me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went from feeling uncomfortable, like, dressing cute because I didn't think I looked cute to feeling uncomfortable because I'm dressing cute because I am, like, I feel like I'm dimming somebody else's light. And that is an interesting perspective. For those of you women out there who are like hot girls, like I just want to take a minute and be like, I get you, I see you. And also like it is a lonely road for these women sometimes. And I think that if we could understand each other a little bit better and realize that it's not a competition and we can love each other and support each other.
And we all feel this way. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
every woman is listening to this podcast, some even men. We all as people feel this way. We all just, it's a natural occurrence
Mhm.
in the brain to
Yeah.
feel this way.
And no matter how hot you are, I think sometimes, I mean, you always still have some insecurity too.
Mhm.
Something that you don't feel like you're good enough at.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is having the same internal struggle. And if we could just look around and be like, I see you, I get you,
Mm-hmm.
and I love you. Shine on.
Yes. Same. There was something that I thought of while you were talking.
I hate that. It's like you're talking about stuff and then it just slips right out of your brain.
So the conversation that I was talking about earlier with the friends last night about the burlesque party, one of them mentioned like towards the end of the conversation, she's like, you know what? We're all gonna go there. We're all gonna be hot. We're all gonna look amazing. We're all gonna have a great time, or
Yeah.
something like that. You know, not in those words, but something like that. And I was like, fuck yeah, we are. So she's
I know
like,
which one said that already in my head. I already could see it.
So yeah, I was like, fuck yeah, you know? She's like hyping me up. I'm like, yeah, we are. We're all going to be sexy, you know?
Mhm.
We're all going to have fun. And even the boys, you know, even the boys are going to dress up and they're going to have fun.
You know what is something that makes me think of something our friend Cassandra says. She used to always tell me, Holly, I have never taken off my clothes in front of a man and had him say, you know what, never mind.
I
Never.
can see her say that.
Yeah. And you know what, that's another thing that I think of all the time. I'm like it's not so much what's out here, it's what you're like, what's the word I'm looking for, like exuding from inside.
Yeah.
Like if you're confident, like there were times when I was like super confident and my body did not reflect that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just owned it. And like the chemistry was better.
This reminds me of your sister.
Oh, my sister is like so confident. She's so good at this.
Like sweatpants at the bar, fucking owning it.
Yeah, and she looks good. And people are like,
looks amazing.
people are coming up to her, talking to her, and you're like, I just spent 3 hours getting ready and she came in sweatpants. Why is she getting more attention than me? Because she exudes this confidence.
Yes.
And this
I love it.
Just self-love that just, she can walk into a room and everybody notices her because of that. That's beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Loving yourself, that's beauty.
Yeah.
Being comfortable with who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Your own special sauce.
Yep.
That's fucking beauty.
Yes, and that's loving yourself too. If you know you have that and you own it and you don't care what you look like.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. Everybody strives to get there.
Yeah.
And she exudes that. And
Yeah.
I just love that about her.
And some people are born with that. Like she was born with that.
Yeah.
Like she just
Owned it from day one.
From
huh?
day one. But other people like me and maybe you who weren't born that way, like what are some tips or tools that we can give people to help them get from where they are to where they want to be?
I think we've kind of done that in the episode in its entirety, but
Summarize
some things that I did and maybe some tips that will help other people. The mind shift.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the biggest, most powerful, in my opinion, tip that, or trick, or whatever you want to call it, that you can do is that mind shift piece. Like whenever you think of something negative, think of something positive right after, and then the thought will kind of switch.
Yeah.
That
it takes
mind
practice.
shift.
It won't happen overnight.
Yeah, years maybe.
Yes.
If I'm being honest.
So don't be in a hurry. Give yourself grace.
Yeah, that's another tip.
Yeah. Don't be in a hurry.
Give yourself grace.
Yeah.
Progress, not perfection.
Yeah. Nobody is fucking perfect. No matter how hard you try, and you can just torment the shit out of yourself trying to be perfect. You're never going to get there.
Trust
ever.
us. We have.
And once you reach this goal that you think you have to be at, you'll still not feel like you're good enough, because the work isn't out here. The work is in here and in here, in your chest and in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you have to love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, working on self-love practices, whether that's affirmations.
You talked about putting the lotion on and
Yes.
and saying I love myself. I love myself.
I still have been doing that.
I have been doing that too.
It feels nice.
It just feels so good.
So if you didn't catch that episode, what I've been doing in the morning after I get out of the shower is I put lotion on, because I heard somebody say lotion, taking the time to put lotion on is an act of self-love, because you care about your body enough to put lotion on it. And I am like, I've been the worst at putting lotion on. I've never put lotion on.
I love it.
So I started doing that and really looking at it as a self-love practice. And as I put lotion on, I tell my body, I love you. Like my legs, I love you. My butt, I love you. Like I tell myself I love you. And then when I'm putting lotion on my face, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm like, I love you. I'm looking at myself.
You
Girl, I
right
love
there.
you. And it really is an act of self-love.
Yeah.
And so is eating good.
Yeah.
Not only does eating good help your brain chemistry, your gut chemistry, your mind-gut axis, it helps you be in a better mood, and it helps you feel better. It helps you look better. Drinking water,
Mm-hmm.
not abstaining from things that are bad from you, whether that be drugs, alcohol, whatever your vice is.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many things you can do to love yourself. And sometimes it's like you can think about it like, okay, if this is my child, what would I do for them? Like, do I want them to eat fucking
crap all the time?
No, I want them to feel beautiful. I want them to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to give them these fruits and veggies and things that I know they need.
Mm-hmm. Do that to yourself.
Yeah.
So eating good, the lotion. I like, and I might have mentioned this might have been our morning routines episode that we had mentioned some of these tips and tricks, but I like to do the weekend girl shower, everything shower.
Everything shower.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Pamper yourself a little bit.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. I do it whenever during the weekend it can fit in, or with my plans and such, I'll do that. And so I was doing that this morning. I got up, I made a cup of coffee, I petted my doggies, I started cleaning, and I was just like jamming out and cleaning and made my house smell good. And then
you made yourself smell
yep,
good.
and then I made myself smell good, and I'm just like feeling so good.
I had another
about
thought. So I think another reason that we grow to love ourselves at this age is because we get to know ourselves.
Yeah.
I didn't know who I was or what I was about when I was young. And as I get older, I get to know myself more, and I get to love that person that I'm getting to know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody needs to spend a little time getting to know themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's like staring at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a weird thing to do.
butt
I've
ass
done
naked.
It.
It is weird. It's so uncomfortable the first few
It's
times.
so
First
uncomfortable.
many times you do it, honestly.
Yeah.
But I really feel like it helps you get to know yourself
Mm-hmm.
and get comfortable with yourself. And then, like I was telling you, I went on this road trip to a women's retreat that I co-hosted this last weekend. And everybody was taking pictures by themselves.
Yeah.
And I have a really hard time still to this day, like taking pictures by myself.
Right.
And so that was like my goal for the weekend. Like, I'm going to practice this. So I kept taking pictures, posing different ways. Some of the pictures was like, oh, delete these immediately. But then by the end of the weekend, some of them was like, oh, actually, you know what? I like this one. I look cute in this one.
Yeah.
I was feeling myself by the end of the weekend. And I think that you have to take that time to like, it's going to be uncomfortable at first. But take time to like feel beautiful and to be in your skin and to like celebrate yourself
Mm-hmm.
with a picture, with a standing in the mirror, whatever it is.
Put on a fucking bikini and walk around your house for
Yeah.
a little bit.
Go
and
to a
tell me how-
burlesque show.
Go to a burlesque party.
Oh, yeah, not show, party. You don't
Party.
have to be in a show.
We are the show.
Yeah.
We are the show.
Yeah. But put yourself in these situations to just feel yourself
Mm-hmm.
and love yourself. Don't punish yourself. Don't torture yourself.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And that could encompass like a whole slew of everyday tasks that you can combine to create this routine, and then you can develop your self-worth through that.
Yeah. And don't get overwhelmed. If you've heard all these tips, you do not have to implement all of these things at once.
No, I don't even implement all of them at once. Sometimes I do go eat a burrito.
Yeah.
Because that is self-love too.
Yeah. Sometimes a burrito is self-love. Sometimes you're like, you know what? I love myself so much. I'm going to eat like 6 pounds of chips and salsa right now.
Yep, because I want that.
Yeah. And it's a practice, and you just start with one little thing. And then as that's feeling good, and if you want to keep that rolling, then you can add other things to it.
I
slowly.
feel like that's how we started, honestly, because it's just kind of snowballs into this whole thing of like self-love, and then you look 4 or 5 years later and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
That's just so cool.
And it's okay to love yourself. You are not a
Yes.
conceited bitch if you like yourself.
Right.
Okay? Like, love yourself. If other people around you are not loving themselves, that's not your problem. You love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody can love you as good as you love you. And I promise you, it does not, when you love yourself better, everybody else's love for you feels better.
Mm.
Because it feels like, oh, I actually might deserve that love. Instead of somebody loving you when you feel like you hate yourself, you're like, they don't even know me. They're not loving me. I don't deserve that love. You're
Right.
blocking it.
Yep.
When you
So
love yourself,
just-
it's getting in there.
Love yourself. I
Yes.
think that's the takeaway from this. I want to hear what listeners do to create a love for themselves
Yeah.
every day. Tell us.
Especially if it's something we didn't mention, tell us.
Definitely.
Because I am so into all of that.
I am too. So I want to hear
Mhm.
what you guys do on a daily basis.
I'm
to
using this
love
video
yourself.
for our social media clip too. So you guys tell us what you do to create a self-love practice.
Mhm.
Drop it in the comments, shoot us a message, send us an email.
Whatever,
We're
yeah.
at growingupforadults23@outlook.com. Any way you want to tell us, like, we love hearing that, and I totally geek out on all of these little
I do
practices.
too. I
And I'm
love
like,
to
ooh.
read them.
Yeah, and can I implement that?
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah,
Ooh,
let's
I didn't
do
think
that.
of that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So definitely shoot those to us.
Share
and
with us.
fucking love yourselves
Fucking
because
love
we
yourself.
love you and we love us. And yeah,
And that's how that goes.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Fuck yeah.
Thanks for listening. Love you.
Love you.